Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh yes, it's the show match of the year. Some might say the show match of the century. It's a possibility. Who's going to argue? What can I say? It's gonna be Scarlet versus Naniwa in a best of 7, and of course our undercard match, which will be coming up first, iNcontroL versus Destiny. My name is TotalBiscuit, and I'm joined once again by the masterful Mr. Greg idrA.
Hello, thank you for having me. This is an early Christmas present, getting to cast Scarlet versus Naniwa.
I almost expected early Christmas present getting to cast iNcontroL versus Destiny. So.
That too. They're both up there. Kind of different reasons, but Jeff, a good friend of mine, Destiny, one of the most entertaining people in the scene, and he's in back to StarCraft full time. And Jeff actually is a much better player and a much more active player than everyone gives him credit for. So I don't know. I don't think the undercard match is really to be underestimated. Of course, anything's going to pale in comparison to Scarlet versus Naniwa, but both are going to be very, very fun to watch.
I think so. I think that is very true indeed. And we should, of course, remind people that none of this would be possible without the help of our wonderful sponsors. You can see at the bottom of the screen right there. Isn't it wonderful? We've got our little versus screens going on, and sponsors are at the bottom. We got Bitcoin Magazine, Coinapult, Safelow, Blockchain.info, r/Bitcoin over on Reddit, and Starcraft Bitcoin Open. That's sc2btc.com. They're all responsible for this match for a grand total of 14 Bitcoins for the grand prize there for Scarlet vs. Naniwa. That's a huge amount of money.
That is, I think, regardless of whatever fluctuations are going on, I think it's well and above any other kind of StarCraft show match we've had, maybe in the entire history of the game. Certainly for any kind of online thing, maybe there was some GSL special match, but this is pretty unprecedented.
Yeah, at its current rate, I believe it would put it above the largest show match, which I think was an $8,000 show match between Polt and Hyun, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
That was an old IPL match at South by Southwest, which was actually a live event, really a promotional event. And of course, yeah, for online, there's really nothing that matches it. This is going to be pretty incredible, and it includes players that we haven't really got to see fight against each other all that much. Scarlet vs. Naniwa in particular was a match that happened in Wings of Liberty.
Yeah, especially since Scarlet really came to dominance, became part of the conversation for who is the best foreigner, and in recent weeks, she's looked almost unbeatable, especially against non-Korean players, but against a lot of Korean players as well. And they haven't played any time recently. Not since back then she was still a good foreigner, but she was nothing compared to what she is now. And Naniwa, he just kind of he's pretty consistent. He's always where he is. But Scarlet's definitely the one who has stepped it up since they last played. I don't know who won the previous match. I don't actually even remember that game.
It was so long ago, and in Wings of Liberty, I viewed it as kind of unimportant, honestly. I believe it was Scarlet, though, actually.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter at all. And that was, at the end of Wings of Liberty, Naniwa just absolutely despised PvZ anyway. And I think the matchup is much more to his liking now. But come the Broodlord Infestor era, he basically just gave up on the matchup and did silly builds every game. So yeah, that match has absolutely nothing to do with what we're going to see today.
Yeah, I think so. It really does seem somewhat irrelevant. It was indeed a Scarlet win at IPL 5, 2-1. But then again, the maps we're talking about were Crux Abyssal and ESV Cloud Kingdom. And then the loss was on Entombed Valley, of all places. So, not really relevant anymore.
Now, that was not the most competitive era of StarCraft 2.
No, unfortunately it was not. IPL 5 was actually the tournament that got me to take a temporary hiatus from casting because I was too sick of Broodlord Infestor.
I was kind of jealous of everyone at that, because that was actually at the same time as iNcontroL's wedding, so we didn't get to go. And I heard that the tournament and the venue and everything was fantastic as long as you didn't pay any attention to the gameplay whatsoever.
Yeah, especially the finals. It's like, don't get me wrong, I really liked the finalists. They were fantastic players in their own right. Leonok and Violet were awesome, but the ZVZ is what really disappointed. Polt fought his heart out against a strategy that no one really had an answer to at that point.
No, that was the era of, like, four ZVZ quarterfinals in GSL. Sniper actually won a GSL. No one's ever going to remember that in the history of anything.
That upsets me greatly because he did so at the expense of one of my players, so I will never forgive Sniper, the greatest villain to ever grace StarCraft 2.
It's kind of sad for him, because he was actually a legitimately pretty good player. He just chose the wrong time to be successful.
Yes, and everyone just viewed him as a villain and someone that kind of exploited Broodlord Infestor at that point. And unfortunately, not being able to replicate his success since then, well, that's a little...
It just kind of adds to it. Yeah.
It does, it really does. It just heaps that legacy on him, which is not what you want, really. But never mind. Well, I don't want to have too much downtime in this tournament, I've got to say. I would really like to get onto our undercard match, which is, of course, iNcontroL versus Destiny. We're taking this one very, very seriously, as you can tell by the chosen profile pictures here.
I can't see the profile pictures, but I can only imagine.
We were thinking, should we cover iNcontroL's side of the screen in sponsor logos? It was a possibility. He actually has 9 up there right now. He has more sponsors than this event does, which is pretty impressive, I've got to say.
Sounds like you don't have much of a choice if it's going to be covered in him or not.
No.
Kind of taking care of that for you.
Yeah, I really think so. What we are going to do is we're going to bring Destiny and iNcontroL onto Skype for a quick bit of pre-game banter, and then we're going to be getting right into it. The first map is actually going to be Star Station. It will be a best of 3, and that will be our undercard for this evening. For those who don't know what an undercard is, well, it's kind of self-explanatory. Boxing matches, and particularly MMA fights, have undercard matches, which is kind of like the warm-ups. They're the less popular players, perhaps, although ironically that might not be the case this time around. And they will be fighting for your entertainment before we get to the main event. And they'll be fighting for 1 Bitcoin. There is actually a prize on the line here. So there is money. Best of 3 for right now. I mean, obviously the exchange rate varies, but right now it's about $650 they're fighting for. So that's not too bad for a best of 3.
No, it's not. And I'm almost more excited for the interview than for the match here, because usually you get interviews like this, and even if you have people who are trash talkers online, you put them face to face or voice to voice, and it gets a little bit awkward. These are 2 guys who can actually handle that kind of situation, and I don't know. This is gonna be really funny to listen to.
Yeah, I really can't wait for that. We'll see. Obviously, we're gonna have to keep it a little bit PG-13, but I am definitely looking forward to this one.
You never know with these 2, especially Destiny.
No,
some things can just happen.
I kept your mom a little bit PG-13 just last night.
Excellent, Jeff. A very good, strong, eloquent opening statement from you, as is to be expected.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
We're just waiting for Steven to get on the call, and then we'll have ourselves a quick little bit of banter before we begin. And then we can kick it off on Star Station. Who was the person that actually picked Star Station as the first map there?
That was me. The last 3 times I played him, it was on Star Station, and I won every single time, so I figured if it ain't broke.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it is, of course, our pleasure to invite our second competitor to the stream. It's the one and only Stephen Burnell II.
Hey, I'm really sorry, TV, but I'm feeling kind of sick, man.
Whoa.
If
You only do that when you're losing.
if we start out 0-1,
in
if I lose the first match and I end up forfeiting, I just want you to know that. No, I'm just kidding. What's up?
Before the series, that is kind of legit. What are you doing?
Is iNcontroL in here all excited because I let him win 2 games on ladder yesterday? It sounds like it.
You said 3 games though.
3 games?
The other one was a week ago or so.
Oh, okay.
Fair enough. Well, Steven, if you're going to lag, then of course, do let us know about 2 games in, and then we'll see what we can do about giving you some money and letting you leave. But whatever the case, welcome to both of you. When was the last time you played a best of 3 series?
Oh god. Destiny made a nasty habit of winning every single freaking show match we ever played back when he was actually active, this son of a bitch. And it would always be like I'd win the first 2 or something like that, and I'd be feeling really good, and then just Broodlords in my face, and I would end up being like, I almost won. And everyone's like, good job, you almost beat Destiny. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm gonna go die now.
Well, Jeff, I can't exactly call that a vote of confidence there from your part, but what do you think has changed since then?
Well, the Oracle, I guess, is pretty cool. I don't know. I mean, Part of the Swarm, it seems just to be a much kinder addition to Protoss. It seems to be going pretty okay for Protoss right now. Pretty okay.
Now, Stephen, I was watching your ladder stream yesterday, and things seem to be going pretty well for you. Of course, returning the prodigal son back from the lands of League of Legends.
Yeah, something like that. It depends on when you catch me on the ladder, but yeah. It could be going better or worse, depending on the time of day you're watching yesterday.
What do you think?
If you're watching at the right points yesterday, you would probably mute me before the stream began today, so that you could watch the liability there. But I think for the most part, I was doing okay.
What do you think of the Zerg versus Protoss matchup right now?
It's interesting. As long as you I don't know.
Don't get all honest on us. Please.
Protoss have a lot of tricks from them 2 bases, but I don't know. It's really weird because if the Protoss just goes for a straight up macro game, the Protoss gets raped pretty bad. I don't know. I guess it all depends on how the Zerg responds to that intro, that 2 base, whatever opening the Protoss does, and then it kind of goes from there.
Jeff, are you feeling your PvZ right now?
Well, yes. I've been doing a lot of the cannons, followed by either Dark Templar or Void Rays, and 2 Zerg Tiers, and it's been delicious.
Seems like a pretty good transition.
Yeah, I've pretty much done it my whole life, but recently I've been feeling good about it.
Now, Jeff, since of course you are the only player in this entire event under the management of Alex Garfield,
Yeah.
it would be nice to know what you think about the weight that's on your shoulders that you're carrying into this match here.
Well, the thing is, the difficulty with this show match is that if I don't win this, typically our standard procedure is to then just buy whoever, beat me or beat us. And
So you're
in
saying
this
there's a
case,
chance?
it's just tough because I don't know that Destiny can be bought. He's an individual guy. But we'll see what we can do. Especially with the Bitcoin fluctuation in prices these days, if we can catch Destiny on the right side of the Bitcoin, maybe we can get him over to EG. If he wins.
Steven, can you be bought?
I don't know, man. It'll depend on the markets for Bitcoin. I think the thing that sucks about me and iNcontroL is we're actually in the same. I think that me and iNcontroL are very similar in that it's kind of like wrestling a girl, where like you're supposed to win, but if you don't win, it's really bad. But even if you do win, you can't really brag about it. You know what I mean? Do you ever get that? Ever get that feeling?
I totally beg to differ, man. I would DDT that girl and then stand over her and drop X's on my crotch and say I just totally pwned that girl, and that's what I plan on doing. But if I lose, I'll pretend this never happened, and walk away from the internet for about 3 days.
Well, it's good to hear the story of how you and Anna met, Jeff.
That's true. I DDT'd her and then triple X on my crotch.
It's just how it has to be in this
Triple
modern,
H. Was it an
rough
H?
and
I
tumble
can't
world.
remember.
I believe it was
it's rough
Triple
like
H,
that.
yes.
That's how Americans do it. You know that though. You're married to an American woman, so she
that
probably
is true.
expected that approach, but you didn't end up doing that. You're more dignified as a British
Yeah, that's
man.
probably why it took longer.
Yeah.
Jeff, any final words for your opponent today before we kick it off on Star Station here?
Steven, I wish you the best of luck, but not enough to win, and praise be to the Omniscience, I suppose.
All right. Destiny, your response.
Good luck, Jeffro. That's all I got. I'm pretty
All
sorry.
right.
This is heated.
Let's go.
All right, let's make this happen. Steven and Jeff, to your places. Thank you very much for the interview. All right, Greg, so your professional analysis, please. Who do you think's got the edge here?
I don't know. I kind of like Jeff going into this. Destiny's back to StarCraft. I don't know how long he's been back for, and like he said, the 2 bases are pretty good, and iNcontroL is pretty good at the 2 bases. I don't know. I honestly think iNcontroL is kind of underrated, just because he does the whole. He is so good and so prolific in the whole caster personality end of the industry that he kind of gets underestimated as a player. He still streams a lot. He still plays a lot. He has a really good understanding of the game, and he really knows how to take advantage of annoying shit. And I think that's going to work out well for him here.
That's a useful skill for Protoss, right?
That's the only skill they really need. That's the most important one.
It's built into their DNA. That's the way of it. Well, the first map is loading right now. Star Station TE, iNcontroL versus Destiny in a best-of-3 show match for 1 Bitcoin. Which, we'll see how much that is worth. But I guess the best way to say it is it's worth 1 Bitcoin. So whatever you wish to spend that on. I think that's probably about 20 years of TL Plus you can buy with that.
I'm still not entirely sure what comes with TL Plus, but I'm sure it's worth it if it's worth the Bitcoin.
I got TL Plus, and I'm still not entirely sure of myself with it. You know, I expected just to feel better than everybody else, but it just didn't work out that way.
I actually got it for the post that got me fired from EG.
Ooh.
So I think that's entirely worthwhile. I don't know what features come with it, but I feel like it was worth it.
Yeah. So it automatically reports your post to Alex Garfield. That's the kind of NSA backend that's in TL Plus right now.
I knew they couldn't be trusted.
Damn them, damn them, damn them. Rich is a bit of a Bitcoin hoarder, I've been told, actually. He's been jumping on that in a big way. Oh, yes, absolutely. I asked him about promo, and he said yesterday, oh, yeah, we can totally do promo. It'll cost you this amount of Bitcoin. Like, oh, okay. You're just hoarding all of them. You're waiting for them to fly off to the moon. We're just waiting for the map to load. We do have a lot of casters in here today. I would, of course, like to thank all of our foreign language casters who've come and joined us, which, of course, includes Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, Russian, someone else whose name I can't quite remember, Polish, yes, and Vietnamese, which I think might be a first for a large show match like this.
Yeah, that one's kind of out of the blue. I can't think of any big Vietnamese broadcasts of any kind.
Yeah, we actually got a request from a Vietnamese broadcaster. I went and checked out their stuff. It's like, oh, they're pretty good. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're pretty good anyway. My Vietnamese is a little bit rusty, I've got to say, but yeah, it was actually really, really awesome. Well, we definitely lost someone coming into this, but such is the way of things. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the StarCraft Bitcoin Showdown. Destiny fishing for more sponsors here to the northwest position in the pink trunks playing Zerg. It is, of course, the one and only Destiny. Versus his opponent to the southeast position. In the red trunks playing Protoss, the man of many sponsors. It is iNcontroL.
iNcontroL going for a Forge expand right off the bat. That's weird. I don't know. I question it anytime. Anytime a Protoss who isn't like Rain or one of his equivalents goes for anything except a gateway expansion PvZ, I find it kind of weird. There's just so many things you can do early game to mess with the Zerg if you open up with a gateway expansion. But iNcontroL did say he likes the cannons, so if Destiny gives him the opening, I'm sure he's going to go for that here. That's the one reason to go for a Forge FE over a gateway expansion is if you want to do some kind of cannon rush.
Yeah, and Destiny's not actually drone scouting early either, so maybe he doesn't expect shenanigans. So far, it looks like iNcontrol's waiting to see what's in this base before he decides to put something down. A pool goes down first here for Destiny on 14 supply.
That's quite an early pool. I think he might be a little bit worried about the cannon shenanigans. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if iNcontroL had cannon rushed him in those latter games he was talking about. Because 13 pool, definitely a little bit paranoid. And iNcontrol's just going to go ahead and drop a Nexus first and end up in great shape here.
Yeah.
So, those mind games paying off already.
Absolutely. Those two ladder matches evidently doing something, and Destiny's going to be a little bit worried about that probe hanging around the place. He's seen it come into his base. It had a little bit of a nibble, and then it wandered off. And we'll almost certainly see a Nexus coming down here from iNcontroL, which is exactly what's happening, just the right time there.
Yep, and he'll drop that Forge, and a couple of larvae being saved up for Destiny. He could run 4 Lings over and try and mess with him, because his Lings will be out quite early with that early pool.
4 Lings are on the way.
The Forge isn't too early from iNcontroL, so I don't know. If he wants to go right away, maybe. But he doesn't have an Overlord over the natural hatchery he's building at that third base. So if he doesn't keep a couple of Lings back, he's really, really tempting fate when it comes to the cannon rush. I'm pretty sure he's just going to be defensive here. Just clear that probe out and go for 3 hatcheries.
Yep, and the Lings are now out, so the probe is going to have to leave. It may get back to base alive. Depends if Destiny actually manages to find it. He's on an interception path, but it's likely, unless iNcontroL makes a lot of turns, that he's going to end up keeping a hold of that probe. So, I don't know. We'll see. He's going around the Zelnaga Watchtower to look for an interception. He doesn't get it, though. So, there we go. The gateway is up. iNcontroL has wall off pretty solid in the cannon there. So, actually seeing some very old-style Protoss versus Zerg coming out right here from Jeff.
Yeah, both these players are guys who've been around since the beta. Like iNcontroL, obviously a Brood War player, and Destiny picked it up right away. So they're more normal or more accustomed to the 3 hatchery no gas versus Forge FE kind of play style that we saw all the time in Wings. And that probe actually had been chased all the way back to the base for iNcontroL, so no possibility of any kind of proxy pylons right off the bat for him.
Yeah, that's nice for Destiny, actually. He did go out of his way to try and find that probe, taking the Zelnaga Watchtower, pursuing it down, running the probe down, and making sure that he has full map control, which he does. And Destiny now moving in an Overlord to the top position there to try and go for a scout a little bit later on. So far, there's nothing for him to see, but he knows that, and he's just quietly chugging away there on 3 bases.
Yeah, both of them just building up. Another probe trying to come out from iNcontroL, but he's not looking to proxy, he's just scouting with that. Which is kind of strange, because he already saw the 3 hatcheries. He knows that there's nothing he really has to worry about early on, honestly. You see that 3rd hatchery go down, that's the end of the cheesing opportunities from Zerg. So, just being extra safe. And it kind of looks like Destiny didn't notice the probe coming through, which would be strange. Ooh, iNcontroL is actually taking the 3rd gas that is natural, but not the 4th, which could be something funny. He may just be taking it in a second here and messing with my head, but 3 gases means some kind of like blank soccer cheese more often than not, or something weird at least.
Yeah,
it's
very,
very odd.
At this
it's
point.
very, very odd. Oh, but a quick Stargate.
Okay. So, I mean, usually...
And he took the 4th gas as well, so this is just going to be a normal Stargate play.
Alright, there we go then.
This is his generic go-to. Like, if he wants to play more of a macro game, he just gets the 5 Phoenix out, takes out third Nexus. It's a pretty good go-to for pretty much every Protoss player, but for him in particular, he really likes having those Phoenix out. He understands the strength of mutas, and just using the Phoenix to deal with them. It kind of gives you map control. It's just a very nice all-around good start. And an Overlord's actually coming into the base for Destiny, but it doesn't look like he's going to manage to see the Stargate. Although there's nothing that shoots up in iNcontroL's base just yet, so maybe he'll get a look at it.
Yeah, he's turning around right now, actually, so it looks like he's going to see that Stargate. I don't see any other way. And we're going to see an Oracle out first, actually, from iNcontroL here. Interesting little choice.
Yeah, a lot of Protoss players, I'm not sure if I really like it. I don't know how effective it is, but a lot of Protoss players are just getting that one Oracle out and then going for the Phoenix. But the Oracle, I mean, unless their player really, really messes up, the Oracle's not really going to do any damage. And it just slows down the time it takes to get up to 4 or 5 Phoenix when you start doing real damage. And guarantees there's going to be Spore Crawlers up. We see Destiny already starting up his 3.
Yeah.
So the Oracle, not likely to do any damage. The Phoenix afterwards are the really important thing. So
Going to follow that one up with a Void Ray, interestingly enough.
That's fun. That means that we could be seeing some kind of cheese here. But the Overlord sees the Void Ray. Destiny should be ready for it, hopefully. But yeah, that definitely could turn into a Void Ray plus Warp Gate kind of all in.
Yep, this Oracle's not really going to get much done here, thankfully just pinging off the shields. It will be able to get pretty much a full scout of what's going on, which is nice. And there is, of course, the possibility of running a little bit of Revelation going there. He gets one drone, takes a huge amount of damage, the Oracle has to back off there. You'll notice in the corner, by the way, we're demoing a brand new feature here for Game Heart, which is the 15-second upgrade notification pop-ups in the corner.
Oh, so it tells you 15 seconds before an upgrade finishes?
Indeed, it does.
That's quite handy, because upgrades... I think a lot of newer players really, really underestimate it, that more often than not, if you're going for mid-game timing, it should be based on when your critical upgrades are kicking in. So if you're watching good players, a lot of the times that 15-second mark, that's when you're going to see their army move out and look for them to start finding an engagement. And we're actually getting idrA weapons upgraded, more Void Rays in production cannoning up. So iNcontroL is actually going to go for the big, make a lot of Void Rays and then have some stuff under it kind of composition.
Which works pretty well, even against Hydra composition that we're seeing coming out here from Destiny. Although Destiny is upgrading his melee attack and his ground carapace, so it seems like he wants to build some Hydralisks, but he doesn't necessarily want to fully dedicate to a composition like that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting from Destiny. The only thing that makes too much sense is Void Rays are kind of weak up until you get like 6+ of them, depending on what they're fighting against. So he may just be trying to overwhelm him on the ground, have a few Hydras to scare off the Void Rays, and hit him before he really gets up to any kind of critical mass. Because melee upgrades don't really scale that well against air-based compositions. It's not like you're going to want to go ultras or anything, and that's the normal transition out of Ling-heavy styles. And we do see the Hydra range upgrade coming, so it might be a big Hydra Ling timing. Very Ling-heavy, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be very Ling-heavy. There's 16 more on the way here, and you really do need that Hydra range against any kind of big Void Ray composition. Otherwise, good luck even getting enough Hydras in range to actually do damage. And we've seen before, the critical mass of Void Rays does actually beat Hydras, but with a lot of Lings on the ground, it can be a little bit more difficult for the Protoss player to deal with it. iNcontroL is sitting on a good amount of gateways already, actually. That would be now 7 by the looks of it, and he's going to go up to 3 Stargates on 3 bases here. So Void Ray production is about to explode, but the Lings are posturing here on the map. They managed to find themselves a proxy pylon.
Yeah, and Destiny is looking to... He's just going all in with this. There's no attempt at all to take a 4th base, even put down a 4th hatchery. He's just full-on unit production. I imagine as soon as all these are finished, he's moving out across the map and going for the kill. And this is going to be really dangerous, especially because iNcontroL is actually moving his army out right now. If he gets caught there, if he loses all these sentries to the Lings...
Nice force fields, actually. Really nice. Destiny loses a big chunk of his army there.
Yeah, Destiny actually may have been able to just go in and trade the Lings for the sentries, because if you don't have support units to keep the Hydras away from your Void Rays, they're really not that good. They need the meat shield, or they need the force fields, they need something. So that might have been an okay trade for Destiny, but he did back off and lose a lot of Lings. And a Dark Shrine actually coming from iNcontroL. I don't know if he's going to have time for that to matter. Destiny really needs to go for an attack soon.
Well, a lot of probes are about to die here, potentially, but iNcontrol's actually built a rather nice defensive wall here. Activates his Photon Overcharge, sends a few Zealots back. He actually did pull his entire army back just to try and deal with this. So far, only 6 workers have been killed here by Destiny, traded for an awful lot of Zerglings.
Yeah, and that's... I don't know. Destiny doesn't want to be harassing here. He wants to be going for the kill. Actually, he's putting down a 4th hatchery and a Spire, but I I don't think that's going to work out too well unless iNcontroL messes up. He's playing way too aggressive here. He needs to get that army back. He needs to just defend. Because if he survives, if he has Dark Templars and 3 Stargates and lots of production, he just wins. All he has to do right now is stay alive. But his army is actually way out on the other side of the map.
Yeah, he wants to posture aggressively, he wants to go for it. I'm not really sure what kind of timing he's trying to hit. None of the upgrades are lining up or anything along those lines. But he does want to be aggressive, and Hydra's come in and managed to pick off the almost full energy Mothership Core. So that's a nice little win there for Destiny, who's trying to flank it, and iNcontroL's army could suddenly be trapped here on the map without any recall.
Yeah, losing that Mothership Core is absolutely horrendous for iNcontroL there. It's not impossible for him to win this fight, but he doesn't want to take it. He just wanted to recall back, like put some pressure on Destiny and then get out.
Force fields go down.
Really nice force fields.
Yeah, not too bad at all, actually. He's able to catch quite a lot out there and deal with most of the links, but these guys are still in the middle of nowhere. They've got to kind of make their way back across the map, and the Hydras are pursuing, but thankfully they do not have speed upgrades, so they're never going to catch that army in a million years unless iNcontroL makes a big mistake.
Yeah, the danger has been inverted for iNcontroL, although mutas are out now, and he doesn't have any cannons in his mineral line, but the Zealots see them. There's no danger from the ground army. iNcontroL's army is big enough. He just has to deal with these mutas, and then he's going to be pretty much set. This is the last big threat Destiny has here.
Yep, and it's a pretty decent one. The idrA comes out and is going to die very, very quickly to that, so that's not too good here for iNcontroL. He's currently slightly supply blocked. Mothership Core is trying to avoid the predications here of these Mutalisks. The 4th base goes down from a rather nice Zealot run by, but the Zealots and the Oracle are caught out here as well. Muta's now in the main mineral line, and we do need to see iNcontroL responding to that. He is doing so. He's bringing out plenty of Phoenixes, but he doesn't want to engage with the idrAs, and he is. He already loses one. He's going to lose a second here, and possibly even a third.
Those mutas did a lot of damage, and Destiny's looking to go in with the Ling Hydra here. I'm not sure if there's actually enough, because without those idrAs, he loses a lot of DPS, and he doesn't have any kind of AoE. Oh, an attack's coming in at the 3rd base at the same time as mutas, and oh, it's just circling, so it's cleaned up, but the Hydras, he still doesn't have Hydra speed. It's just about to finish.
iNcontroL did kill a lot of Mutalisks there. All the Mutas are dead now for Destiny, but as you said, there's a massive Hydra force. There's 30 Hydralisks in that army coming in right here.
And it's only Zealots and Sentries, and they're kind of streaming in one by one.
Yeah, that's not going to work at all. These Hydras are absolutely decimating this army right now. They're not well upgraded in comparison to iNcontroL's army, but maybe there's just not enough Protoss to deal with this. Although, that said, Stalkers firing from the high ground. Over half of the Hydralisks are dead already. Mothership Core is up, but it doesn't have the energy for a photon overcharge here. And it looks like most of the Hydras were actually across the map. So iNcontroL's going to hold this.
Yeah, he has cleaned it up. They basically traded armies there, but they're at the same Harvester count, and the 4th base is just now finishing for Destiny. And iNcontroL actually has pretty solid upgrades, and all of the tech paths in the world open to him. So as long as he doesn't die pretty quickly here, this is going to be pretty well for him. E-scale is much better at this point. There's no kind of hive. There's nothing really for Destiny going into the later game. And iNcontroL has double Colossus in production right now. He still just needs to survive. That's all he needs to be looking to do.
That's very true, and he's starting to rebuild his bases quite nicely. We should note, of course, that he's stayed on 71 probes versus 62 drones, and has been able to keep a hold of this 3rd base and never actually lose it. I like the way that he structured his buildings here. Very anti-Ling, incredibly effective in that respect. It's repulsed numerous run-bys. Destiny going for another one here, but the same thing will end up happening, I would imagine. Although, Mothership Core energy isn't there yet, so this could do some damage, but it's probably not going to do too much unless iNcontroL actually lets those probes die.
He can honestly afford to lose some. He was ahead in Harvester count. He almost has too many, which is absolutely amazing, given how much Ling run bias and the muta harassment that Destiny has done. The fact that he actually had more Harvesters than the Zerg, that's just not supposed to happen. I have no idea how he managed that.
Yeah, I don't either, because Destiny's killed 37 workers throughout this entire game, and iNcontrol's still on 65, so I guess he's just been playing with a fairly small army. He did get his 3rd up relatively early, and he's been able to mine from it, so I guess maybe that explains it. Now we're seeing double Colossus production here from iNcontroL.
Yeah, and right now we have double Colossus production versus Hydra Ling at equal supplies, and even an inferior economy for the Zerg, and that's just really, really not good. Colossus is a hard counter to Ling Hydra, short of having a bunch of Templar. He actually has Templar as well.
Oh.
And Storm is on the way, so I don't know. He can't let Destiny expand unchecked or anything, but Destiny really isn't looking towards the late game. He's still not getting a hive. He's not putting down another hatchery, another expansion. He's just kind of upgrading his Ling Hydra and making some corruptors. And he actually built a 2nd Spire for no reason. He just kind of forgot he already had the one for the mutas. I don't know. I think it's not looking too hot for Destiny. He might have one big Ling Hydra Corruptor all in. He's just going to suicide on the Colossus and hope it's enough. but I don't know. Unless iNcontroL gets really, really cocky and moves out. He doesn't have any force field, and his Zealots don't have any defensive upgrades. So maybe Destiny could do something here, but that's just a really scary Protoss army, especially against a Lairtech Zerg.
Yeah, and he's upgrading to high, but his upgrades are really late. This attack may even hit the 4th base before 2-2 kicks in, which would be even worse, because these are 3-0 Protoss units. The Spinecrawler should hold things up for a little while, but that 4th base is absolutely going to die here for Destiny, and he sees what's coming at him. Corruptors are being built here. He's trying to go up to Hive. He's waiting for his 2-2 to finish, but this is going to be tricky. Army supplies in favor of the Zerg, but that's 4 Colossus with +3.
Yeah, Destiny knows that he has no chance here except for maybe he catches the Corruptors out of position with his Colossus, wipes them, and then the Hydraling wipes the rest of the Protoss army. But with Storm's already completed, a lot of Zealot Stalker. It's looking really grim for Destiny here. And
yeah,
that's not a good Corruptor engagement either.
No, not really. He will be able to take down this army, though, and Destiny's actually gone in really, really close here. Big storms come down. The last 2 Colossus are still alive, though. It was probably the best he could have hoped for in that situation, but now things are getting ugly. We have Hydras going down to storms. We still have 2 Colossus up, and finally the Colossus go down to the Corruptors here. Archon's being morphed in. Damage is being done. It doesn't look like this army from iNcontroL is actually going to kill the Zerg, though.
Yeah, I'm kind of amazed. It just, I don't know, his Zealots weren't with the rest of his army during the engagement, and everything just got kind of fractured, and he didn't have any force fields to really keep himself alive. So Destiny did manage to clear it up, but still, we're on 3 base versus 3 base, and Protoss still has the better tech. He's going Void Race now, which I don't particularly like. He really wants more Colossus and Templar. And we had a Greater Spire coming from Destiny. He doesn't really have the bank to use it too much, but I don't know, maybe he gets 1 round of Broodlords off, and that's enough. Because if iNcontroL secures his 4th base, that really should be the nail in the coffin. But honestly, that last attack should have ended it. I don't know how Destiny managed to survive.
He got a pretty good angle, I feel, with the Hydras. He got in nice and close without taking Colossus shots, and then was able to really unload some damage, which was quite surprising.
Yeah, the big problem there was without force fields, without any sentries at all in the army, the Zealots are basically your moving force fields, and the Zealots just ran in and started attacking the 3rd base.
Yeah.
So he had nothing to protect his high damage units from a direct engagement. And Destiny did really well to get the Hydras in there right up close and personal. So credit to him for that, but iNcontroL just needed to be a bit more careful with his tankier units.
This Nexus is almost done, which is quite surprising. Destiny really doesn't want to let it finish, but with +3 Zealots defending it and a cannon, in fact 2 cannons, nothing's going to get done here. This 4th base is going to complete, and the Hydra is actually caught out in the middle of nowhere. Massive Changeling force fields come down, which is actually just enough to delay some of these units, but Hydras are getting picked up here by the Phoenixes, and Blink Stalkers are killing the rest of them. This is not looking good for our Zerg.
And this is a good time to kind of posture out on the map for iNcontroL. He's making it really, really dangerous to try and morph any Broodlords with those Corruptors. And there we do see them starting up. And iNcontroL isn't looking to pressure right away, so the Broodlords will survive. But low numbers of Broodlords, without the efficiency of the Infestor, it's just not what it used to be. They still deal a lot of damage. The Broodlings still help zone a little bit. But if you just get 1 good blink in, if you get an Archon under them, they do pop pretty quickly. And that's all he's really going to have going for him. He's just going to have some Ling Hydra under it.
Yeah, and
no Corruptors to take out the Colossus anymore.
Worst thing that happens is maybe those Broodlords are enough to stop the army, but a Fleet Beacon's already done, and it's even going to have air upgrades with it. So Tempests get built from 3 starports, and suddenly those Broodlords don't last very long.
No, they don't. Even the Void Rays would be enough to charge them down before the Hydras can do anything about it. Ooh, a nice catch for Destiny. They're getting 4 Templars, forcing the Archons, and then killing them off. So that's something. But the problem is that's happening at iNcontrol's 5th base as Destiny's struggling to secure his own 4th.
Yeah, exactly. So there's not going to be any Storm in this composition if he decides to attack with it now. It may force him to wait a little while, but I still think that the Protoss is in a really, really good spot here. Phoenix has continued to harass. iNcontrol's done a good job with these, actually, considering, and he's even thrown some DTs in there for good measure. So he's keeping up the pressure on his opponent, making sure he can't expand and get himself back into the game, and he's spotted the Broodlords, and out come the Tempests.
It's not an iNcontroL PvZ game if there's not random DTs at some point. If anything's his trademark, it's that. But yeah, like you said, the Tempest coming out, and a Tempest-based Protoss army with lots of AoE in the Colossus. He can add Templar whenever he wants. He has the Void Rays in there for just some extra DPS. Against a low econ Broodlord army, that's just so scary, because you just sit at whatever position you want, and you pick at the Broodlords with your Tempests. He needs to get an Oracle or 2 out for Revelation to really help with that, but otherwise he's just going to have complete reign, and eventually Destiny's probably just going to get frustrated and go all in, because the range disparity is just so annoying in low econ situations, because it's just, you can't afford to lose stuff, but you can't really do anything about it.
Exactly. And iNcontroL wanting to also get some Warp Prism harass done right here. May decide to go for the DTs on that. Doesn't really want to drop the stuff directly on the Spine Crawler, although with the upgrades he's got, maybe that's not going to matter so much, especially if he does a really, really big warp in. There is a Zealot run by now coming to the 4th base, and there's a DT in there as well. iNcontroL just going right for the hatchery, and with the amount of damage that could be done if the Broodlords weren't there, that would have worked absolutely fine. Where on earth did the Warp Prism go? It actually somehow got picked off. I'm not really sure how that happened.
That big fleet of Corruptors went back and killed it off. And with that queen there to transfuse, he actually does manage to keep the hatchery alive.
Yeah, nice.
So that's nice, but it's buying all the time in the world for iNcontroL, who's now running on 2.5 bases. Destiny is basically running on 1. And all the tech, all of everything. Well, we now have Locust for Destiny. I was actually talking to him. He was down at that little tournament in Louisiana I was at a week or 2 ago.
Yep.
And he was saying, in any matchup, no matter what, if things go badly for him, if he gets behind, he's just going to sit and be really, really annoying with Swarm Hosts. That's his generic comeback strategy. So I fear that this game might go on for another 40 minutes if iNcontroL doesn't just decide to kill him.
It could. There is kind of a reason why we picked a best of 3 format for this instead of a best of 7, because Naniwa would get rather upset if he had to end up playing at 3 a.m. because these guys decided to make it a show for everybody. But iNcontroL is now taking a 5th base, a 6th base. Coming up to the top right here with a bunch of cannons. He's added a lot more gateways. He's going double Warp Prism, so he thinks he's a hero right now.
He just wants to show off a bit. He knows he's completely in control of the game.
Yeah.
And yeah. But that one Warp Prism flies right into the Corruptors, so that one doesn't do so good. But
Well,
really, at this point, he has so much economy, and he's doing the smart thing. He's building up a ton of cannons. He's not just banking money. Because if you put up a lot of cannons, and you can recall your army if anything gets too serious, those bases just don't die. And his army versus army right now is so good for him.
It really is.
He has all of the techs.
Yeah, there's not
And
enough
Protoss
Swarm
tech is
Host
really good.
right now to really be a threat. You know, it'll be annoying, don't get me wrong, but yes, it's a bunch of free units, but unless you have a large amount of them, you can't really stop an army of this size, especially with that much Colossus, that much Archon in there. And he's going to push his way towards the 4th base now, and if Destiny can hold this, it'll be fantastic, but the Tempests are now coming in. They're going to start to pick off some Broodlords here. Storms go down as well. Needs to try and target fire the Broodlords, but it seems like they're slightly out of vision range at the moment. Charged Void Rays go in here. The Observer just got picked off, actually, so there's no vision right now on those Swarm Hosts. iNcontroL could have a few more problems than he was expecting, but with that amount of firepower, that base dies in 2 seconds.
Yeah, there's few enough locusts at this point that he can just almost ignore it. Really, he has so much damage. And Destiny's actually looking to engage here. I don't know if that's such a good idea for him to be trying to fight here.
Well, it takes out one of the Tempests, which is nice, but he does need a Storm for his trouble there. And iNcontrol's army takes a little bit of damage. It's not a big army, it's a scary army of very, very high-quality units. There's a big Zealot run by going for the natural here, which is mining basically nothing right now, so it's going to kill a Spine, maybe.
Yeah, and iNcontroL has about 3,000 minerals in the bank, so he can kind of just send Zealots everywhere at this point, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's going into the 12 o'clock at the same time, and he might actually... Transfuse has just saved the hatchery, but the 12 o'clock base is now under attack as well. That one's not going to die either, but iNcontroL is kind of content to just keep trading resources for anything, because he has so many of them.
Yep, he's got a couple more observers out now. He knows that the Swarm Hosts are going to be annoying at that 4th base there if Destiny tries to re-establish. He sees them coming in. They're not really coming in large groups. They're coming in little bits at a time, which means that they are dying pretty quickly. The Stalker goes down here, but now this big scary army comes in. There's a decent amount of Storm in here, Colossus, and Destiny looking for an engagement. The Void Rays caught at the front here. They will go down pretty quickly, but Storms go down as well. And these Colossus will do pretty well. I'm concerned about iNcontroL not actually targeting the Broodlords, though. These Tempests are actually attacking units on the ground, which is not going to help him that much. Destiny looking for the comeback right here, as iNcontroL, frankly, botches that engagement.
Yeah, that was just really kind of sloppy. I think he got overconfident there. He felt like he could just attack move with his big Protoss ball, and that would be enough. But at the same time, the hatchery at the natural falls to another Zealot run by, and we have essentially no income for Destiny, so he is very, very all in. But this is the army you kind of like to be all in with. You got a lot of free units coming out of those Broodlords and Swarm Hosts, and the Corruptors are there to clean up in the air. The one bad part about the Protoss Death Ball is it's so expensive and such high-tech units, so they take a long time to rebuild. So Destiny has a bit of a timing window here, but iNcontrol's smart. He's just going to keep warping in these Zealots, keep sending them in, buying time, get it to a base race situation, and then his Templars and his air units and whatnot will eventually whittle down this Protoss army, or this Zerg army.
This 4th base is pretty much forfeit at this point. The Locusts did a phenomenal job of battering their way through the defenses, and you called it a comeback unit. It's absolutely right. iNcontroL is trying to reestablish his army. He does have the economy to make that happen, though, so yeah, it was a really, really good fight for Destiny, or a really bad one for Jeff, depending on how you want to view it. But at this point, Destiny's still in a really bad economic spot. He only has one functional mining base at this stage.
And he has a very immobile army, so these zealots are just going to be able to kill everything off. And in a base race situation, the free units are good, but when your Protoss opponent has a lot more bases than you do, they have a lot more ground to give, and they can just keep warping in units and just running away from you until they're maxed, and you only have what you already have. I don't know, he's not going to be able to get enough done fast enough, even if he could win army versus army now, and that's still questionable, if iNcontroL controlled it a bit better than the previous engagement.
Mothership is out on the way, something that we don't really see too much, as well as a +3 Protoss air weapon. Interesting choice. I think we're seeing a little bit of showboating now, because there's actually no mining bases at all here for our Zerg player, who is currently long-distance mining. The income looks great, but until you realize that it was just all of his drones that just did a long-distance mining run, and now they're going to obviously die. So this is not looking good. The Zerg player trying to move in, and pressure on this 4th base here. As you said, he does have a mobile army, but he does have a very strong one as well.
Yeah, it's smart of him to move up here and actually put pressure on the mining bases for iNcontroL, because iNcontroL doesn't have a massive bank. He did have to replace that whole gigantic army. He only has 500 minerals right now. He's been sending zealots everywhere. So if you take out his mining bases, maybe you choke him out. Still, if we just look at the army for iNcontroL, that's a lot of Protoss units again.
It is, and upgrades are about to kick in. 10 seconds left on Protoss Shield level 3, 10 seconds left on air weapons. I think iNcontroL would want to wait for those upgrades to finish before he fights here. And this may be the big confrontation coming in between these two.
I actually wasn't sure what the spells on the mothership were now, because it is just not used at all in competitive play.
Nothing.
I didn't realize that it actually just keeps the mothership core spells and getting some cloaking field.
Yeah, it does. It's not all that useful. Admittedly, with +3 Purifier Beam, that's actually 9 damage with 6 attacks. It's very good for killing lots of locusts, or perhaps lings and things like that, but that really is about it. So that's not really going to help anyone. And I don't know, I mean, this is still a very big, scary army, but if iNcontroL somehow loses this, then
he only has a few overseers. I don't know. It doesn't matter. iNcontroL can just kind of attack move with this. Last time he attack moved and he was a bit mistaken in his judgment of that.
Yeah.
Here I'm pretty sure he actually can.
Yeah, he needs to focus fire, and he's kind of doing that. He is attacking the Corruptors there, which is maybe not the best idea. The Mothership will die eventually, but it did take an awful lot of punishment in the process. iNcontrol's army continues to fight here. The Broodlords are doing the damage, but they're now being targeted here by the Tempests. And this is mutually assured destruction between these two at this point, and iNcontrol's actually getting thrown back.
He is, but he killed off enough of the important stuff, and it's going to come down to the economies at this point, because iNcontrol's still mining off of almost 2 full bases with another Nexus coming up. He still kept the Colossus and the Tempests alive. Then Destiny, he's I don't know. He's fighting honorably, but and a bunch of DTs come in now. And he actually picked off all the Overseers in that last battle with his Tempest, so a really good recognition there from iNcontroL.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the end
That's
of it.
GG. GG. That was a fairly long one, actually, to start us off there, quite surprisingly.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. iNcontroL kind of messed it up. He could have ended it quite a bit earlier if he didn't get so cocky there over on the left side of the map. Just wasn't focus firing at all. He really completely thought he could attack move his Protoss ball, and that would be it at the end of it. Underestimating the power of Swarm Hosts and Broodlords.
I have to apologize to everyone on the stream right now for iNcontrol's chosen victory music, because it's quite frankly disgraceful. But, sorry.
What is it?
So there's this video on YouTube that is a fake video of supposedly a drunken midget singing Cutie Patootie on some American daytime talk show.
I know that, yes.
He very specifically requested that, and it's horrific. This is it. This is the end of professional StarCraft right here. It's all Jeff's fault. Well, Jeff goes up 1 game, folks. We'll be coming back with Game 2 very shortly. You are watching the Bitcoin Starcraft Challenge. Will Destiny be able to come back, or can iNcontroL close it out on our undercard here 2-0? We'll find out after the break, folks. Do not go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our undercard match for the Bitcoin Starcraft Challenge. iNcontroL currently leads 1-0 against Destiny.
Rather exciting long macro game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would not have expected that from these two players, really. iNcontroL, he likes the 2 bases, and Destiny said that is what he feared. That's what's strong about Protoss. And that wasn't mind games or anything. He wasn't trying to trick iNcontroL into doing that. That's definitely what what he's weak to, what every Zerg is weak to right now. I don't know. I really think iNcontroL just kind of wanted to go with the Forge first in order to have the possibility of cannon rush. Then he saw how early Destiny's pool was, and he was just kind of trapped into a Nexus FE kind of thing. And then he didn't feel comfortable cheesing from there. I don't know. I think we're going to see something more aggressive out of control this time. Yonsu is not a map to play a big macro game on.
Indeed, perhaps not. It is a map that, however, that's pretty good for Protoss as far as I heard. It was something that Naniwa was a little bit confident on, and Scarlet perhaps not so much. She was not especially happy about Yonsu. What do you think about it for the PvZ matchup? Yeah,
both Yonsu and Polar Knight, in my mind, are kind of similar in that they're both very, very small, very short rush distances, kind of difficult. That decoy spire. But yeah, very difficult to secure a third on, and very easy for Protoss to do either 2-base aggression or just kind of mid-game all-ins kind of stuff. I find them very difficult to play against Protoss on, just because Protoss is in control of the early game with their aggression, and it's a very early game focused map.
These two. I asked them to be honorable before they started, and now they're trying to correct my spelling, which is, I mean, there's just not cricket.
It's a good thing this isn't WCS. They get fined now.
They would, apparently, yes. And although I think we would have been fined a little bit more for disparaging the skills of the players.
Yeah, I really, really like that last line in those guidelines. It's about the casters not being able to disparage the general skill or reputation of the players, something like that.
Yeah, it's something I did talk to Blizzard about. I had a look at the handbook. I think it was about 2 weeks ago, and I said, look, you know, this handbook looks pretty good, but this is a bit of a concern. Like, it was a little strange, I gotta say, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I mean, I guess they only really mean that you can't just flat out call this player bad or anything like that.
I'm pretty sure it's just there to give them discretion if they feel that they need it.
Yeah,
and they're not gonna ride the casters too hard. Actually seeing a 13 pool out of Destiny again.
Yeah.
And a Forge FE out of iNcontroL again. That's really weird. I don't know. I haven't played him too much. Maybe he just doesn't do gateway expansion. Or maybe he's really, really set on having the opportunity to cannon rush if necessary. But gateway expansion is definitely the better build on this map. I think it's a better build overall, but it's at least debatable on bigger maps like Star Station. But on here, you should be doing gateway expansion. It just gives you so many opportunities.
Yeah, that is kind of true, and I'm surprised not to see that. Down goes the hatchery, so iNcontroL couldn't delay that for too long, but that's kind of to be expected. And now he's going to secret this probe off to the bottom here, which I think is... Oh, and we're going to see a pylon, okay. But there's Lings on the way. I mean, there's no way that Destiny should let this happen.
No, there's a drone scout already. There's Lings on the way. And it wasn't like a sneaky pylon. It wasn't positioned so if he gets a cannon behind it, it works anyway. It was honestly a poorly positioned pylon. Plus his probe's so low, he just cancels it. But he already had the Nexus coming down, so he was just kind of messing with him and maybe hoping.
Well, iNcontroL evidently does not agree with everyone else's opinion that this is a pretty good map for Protoss, but there you go.
I'm not sure if he's hamming it up or he really just cannon rushes every game now. Because he's always he's always had a penchant for cannon rushes, and after watching SOS, any Protoss would be a fan of it. We actually have a probe sneaking out around the right side. Oh! Wow.
Well, that was a wall that wasn't even close to being finished, actually.
Nowhere near. He didn't realize that was the 13 pool. He figured it was just a 14 or 15, more normal. And his cannon is set up to stop a 14 or 15 pool, but not a 13 pool.
Well, that was sneaky. Let's see how much damage Destiny can actually get done here. Whatever the case, he's going to waste quite a bit of mining time. He's working on that assimilator. I mean, good luck with that, but Destiny now... Oh, the probe's around! He just... That's pretty good from iNcontroL. 3 Zerglings get killed and no probes go down.
Yeah, and that last Zergling, that's not really going to accomplish anything. Just be a little bit of a nuisance, an annoyance.
It's going to run itself right into a cannon for honorable death. There we go.
Suicidal Zergling.
These guys are worth every bit penny.
Is that what they're called? Do you call fractions of a Bitcoin a bit penny?
No, I believe they're called micro Bitcoins, but I like bit penny. I think that works pretty well.
I do as well. That's catchy.
Good.
I don't know very much about Bitcoin. I just started researching them back when this show match was announced and Scarlet started taking Bitcoin donations and stuff. It's interesting.
There's a nice site, actually, that I looked at with Bitcoin, which is gift.com, G-Y-F-T, which is actually a site that does gift cards for Bitcoin. And they do all sorts of things like Amazon and GameStop and all the popular places, so that seems pretty useful.
That's cool.
Either that or you can buy a Tesla Model S, apparently, with it, so, you know.
Just get rid of all of them in one shot.
Pretty much, you know, a bit of a variance, I think, between buying a $10 gift card and a Tesla Model S, but, you know, both work, so obviously shows the viability of it. Alright, well, that was an interesting comedy of errors in the first few minutes there. We saw Lings get in, we saw and now a Zealot is going to deny mining entirely at this third base. No units on the board here for Destiny, and no Queen at that base. So this Zealot has had more success than any lone Zealot ever has in the history of this game.
It looks really silly, but it actually happens a decent amount. If you get Zerglings into your opponent's main, you just kind of, you're going to lose them eventually, and then you just kind of forget that you don't have any more units, and then you don't have any units when the Zealot walks in.
Man, this Zealot's doing well. Like, the entire Zerg army currently running away from this one Zealot, but there we go. The surround comes in, and Destiny's able to do that without losing any more Zerglings, so that's good. But that's a massive amount of denied mining time at the third base.
Yeah, and he only had to pull, like, 3 Queens and produce, like, 8 Zerglings to actually scare off the single Zealot. And Mothership Core running in now, and there's actually no Queens on the creep, but there's no drones there for it to kill anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it seemed like Destiny deliberately held his drones back there, knowing that there was a possibility of a follow-up there, so that was pretty sensible. He's currently, well, he was oversaturated, but he's now sending some drones over, I believe, to get that base back up and running. Not many drones on the field, really, for Destiny at this point, though.
Yeah, he isn't actually sending any more over.
No, he's not.
He doesn't even have full saturation as initial 2 bases, so... Okay, there, he's rallying his new production over there. And on control side of the map, we have a Robo out. He's actually getting an Observer right away, while putting down 5 gateways, so I guess he's just going to scout it out a bit first and then go for an Immortal all-in. Or maybe for a Warp Prism plus Warp-in kind of harassment. He's fond of that. This isn't the best map for it, though, because it's pretty hard to get into your opponent's main unnoticed. It's hard to get control of that ramp area, but he might go for it anyway. And it is a Warp Prism, so that does seem to be his goal. I don't know. There's better options on this map. I think an Immortal all-in would be far, far superior.
Yeah, I think you might be right. As you said, controlling that ramp is pretty difficult without being seen. There's really no opportunity to get into the base or sneak around. With good Overlord placement, you're going to see that coming a mile away. You don't really have a lot of void space around the edge of the map to allow you to escape or anything like that, so... Yeah, it may be questionable, but we'll see what he can actually make happen with it. Destiny continuing now to just produce drones, but he's going Roach Hydra.
Roach Hydra with melee upgrades. I'm not sure what... He's gone melee upgrades both games, despite going pretty Hydra heavy. I'm not really sure what his thought process for that is. I don't particularly agree with it.
He's definitely going to build roaches. I thought maybe he just threw down a Roach Warren for defensive purposes, but he's actually going for upgrades with it, and Burrow. No, cancel Burrow, never mind.
Burrow would have been a good choice. He could have denied the third base forever if he had actually gotten Burrow here. But there's no way for him to really know that just yet. War Prism's coming in. It's not even going to try for ramp control. It's just going to try and harass a bit with his 4 cells. I don't really see this accomplishing anything at all.
No with the roaches, and in fact, iNcontroL spots the roach and says, no, this is a waste of time, backs off, but he gains a little bit of nice scouting information. There is 1 Immortal on the field. I would only imagine he'd want to produce more than... No, Dark Templar Shrine, never mind.
Of course. It is still an iNcontroL PvZ game. I wonder if he wasn't being serious, if he actually doesn't like this map PvZ. I don't know, this looks really kind of awkward and desperate.
It is a bit weird, I gotta say. Force fields go down, don't really accomplish too much. The pylon is eliminated. The probe actually got taken out there as well, which is even worse, so... And Mosca is lagging just a little bit. He seems to be okay now.
That War Prism's still hovering around. He's looking for an opening, but Destiny has so many units. As we saw last game, Destiny is not a fast 4th base, not a greedy kind of player in the early game's EVP at all. He's not even at full saturation for his 3 bases. So there's really not going to be a whole lot of opportunities for Destiny to go in here.
Yep.
Nope. Or for iNcontroL to go in.
Yeah, iNcontroL picked off a Queen, which is not too bad. He could actually get out of there, and that's exactly what he's going to do with one of those Zealots, and Observer's there as well. He's going to try and assassinate a second Queen. This is actually quite nice little moves here, but I don't think he's going to get the second one.
Zealot's going to the 3rd base as well. He just kind of right-clicked him on the hatchery. That's a bit optimistic. Yeah. Actually, right-clicking all of the hatcheries.
Huh, okay.
I don't know if I really agree with that. That's a lot of minerals down the drain. As much damage as he did to that natural.
Ooh, I mean, he almost got the hatchery. I'll give him credit for that. One more warp-in would have done it, but the problem is he's lost his Warp Prism now, so that's not going to happen.
What he has to do now is load up 2 Immortals and a Warp Prism and go kill that hatchery, and this game will be a moral victory for him. But I'm not sure about an actual victory, because he has wasted like 1,000 minerals for a bunch of hit points and nothing else.
Yes. That did not do too much. I like it if you're in a sort of equal base situation and you're saying, all right, I'm going to come back and kill those later. But right now, he's being threatened by a huge number of units here from Destiny. 25 Roaches, 10 Hydras, 42 Lings on the field as well. We've got Hydra range and Zerg missile attack coming in, so maybe Destiny holds on for at least Hydra range, but this may be a tough defense here for iNcontroL.
If iNcontroL manages to survive, he does have Colossus coming out, and a 2-base Colossus army can just kind of win really silly situations if your opponent stays on Roach Hydra Link too long, just because they have nothing that can deal with the Colossus, but it doesn't look like Destiny's going to give him the time to do that.
The army supply is just disgusting right now. The force fields aren't good enough from iNcontroL there to catch a bunch of that army out. 124 army supply to 60. Now, even if you happen to be Protoss, that's going to be a pretty tall order to kill.
Does have a lot of Immortals. He's going to have 2 Colossus before the engagement happens. Those are very efficient units. If he has immaculate force fields, perhaps. He does have access to DTs as well if he happens to take out those 2 Overseers, but oh, he does not want to move down that ramp. iNcontroL needs to be much, much more careful. I don't know what he thinks he's doing.
That is not a thing to do, especially without extended thermal lance. He's about to have it in about 10 seconds. He's going to go down the ramp right here.
He can't be. He has to be trying to bait him up or something.
Yeah. Force fields go down, but I mean, he's just trying to
he's going out.
For Rogers. He's going for it. He thinks,
I'm
Protoss.
Idea.
Oh! Well, let's see if that's enough for him, because he's getting surrounded from all sides at this stage. The force fields are not really good enough to stop the units leaking in from the side here, and the Protoss army is just getting obliterated.
That was very, very poor decision-making. He honestly could have still won this game, because Destiny was kind of all in on Lair Tech, and he had enough to survive if he stays in his natural. I can't believe he moved down there. That was just really, really poor decision-making.
I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe you get in your mind, hey, look at these power units I've got. They're really, really good, but why would you want to take a fight where you can be fully surrounded? I don't really know, and Destiny's now going to drive this advantage home. He knows that iNcontroL just made a mistake. Blood is in the water, 63 supply to 160 here. Our Zerg player looking to tie this series up. The last Colossus is being microed for all it's worth. The probes are off the line now, and they're gonna be off the line permanently.
Yeah, iNcontroL just didn't realize exactly what Destiny was doing. Destiny was doing nothing but making units. He still didn't have full saturation from 3 bases. He didn't even have a macro hatchery. iNcontroL just needed to survive, but he didn't really realize that, unfortunately. Because he had an honestly good, pretty good chance at winning the game from there. If he waits for 4 Colossus, he has 3 Immortals in there. He even had Blink available. Definitely a winnable situation, just given how low econ Destiny was going. But not if you waltz out into the middle of a 200-degree flank.
No, that doesn't seem like the best of ideas. The Hydras do get caught at the front and killed here, but we are still talking about 136 supply to 61 with no functional mining base here outside of your main. And iNcontroL is about to mine out in that position. And honestly, Destiny now has a lot of choices. He's getting his 4th base up here. He's starting to mine properly from his 3rd again with 61 drones versus 33 probes. Lings come in and they're going to engage against the Stalkers and kill a good few of them as well. The Blinks are as good as you can really expect there, and they will be enough to hold, but he's going to lose units, and that's something you can't really afford to do right now.
Yeah, we have Mutas on the way out, which is not the optimal decision, but at this point it just does not matter. No economy, no production, no units, etc. for iNcontroL. And
there's the GG, and Destiny ties it up in the show match, ladies and gentlemen. One apiece.
Did he ever actually use that Dark Shrine? I don't think I saw a single Dark Templar.
No, he absolutely did not.
Well, I don't think that counts as an actual game then, because like I said, it can't be an iNcontroL PvZ if there's no Dark Templar.
Yeah, I would say so. It's a little bit surprising, and it was a little bit weird, I suppose, to see those drops come in and then not do anything and have no follow-up to it. I think maybe he just got to the stage of thinking, oh, well, that didn't work. I guess I've just got to build nothing but Colossus. I only have 1 Robo Bay. I can't rebuild a Warp Prism. If you'd taken those bases out, done those little Immortal drops, then at least the follow-up wouldn't have been as strong. But I think, the key point of that game was charging into the middle of a massive flank set up by Destiny at the bottom of the ramp there.
Yeah, I think he may have. You said it kind of jokingly early on, but I think he may have honestly been pretty uncomfortable on that map. The Warp Prism strategy is just not the optimal choice on there. And then all of his follow-ups just look like shots in the dark. He was hoping to kill a hatchery and then snowball with the DTs. And then he was kind of just going the generic sit on 2 base and make a scary army and hope that your opponent doesn't have the counter units for it kind of thing. I don't know. It looked very uncomfortable and unguided from him.
I would have to agree. That was unfortunate. But we are going on to the final map now, so a best of 1 now determines who walks away here with the Bitcoin and who does not. We will be finding out after this break, folks. You're watching the Bitcoin Starcraft Challenge. This is the Undercard match between Destiny and iNcontroL. After this, the main event, Scarlet versus Naniwa in a best of 7. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, it's come to this, the final map between iNcontroL and Destiny, our undercard match prior to the big finale, that being Scarlet vs. Naniwa, coming up right after this. I'd like to give a big thank you before we start to our sponsors here. As you can see down the bottom there, we have a number of Bitcoin enthusiasts that are helping out here, particularly Bitcoin Magazine, which is on a mission to be the most accurate and up-to-date source of information, news and commentary about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. You can check it out over at bitcoinmagazine.com, and you can follow them on Twitter at Bitcoin Magazine. Now, you heard some amazing sounds in the break there from Miracle of Sound. You can check out his albums over on youtube.com/Miracle of Sound, or you can have a look at his albums on Bandcamp. That is miracleofsound.bandcamp.com. Destiny says, hopefully all the viewers don't leave once the most exciting of the two show matches is over, and I hold the same concern, honestly. I hope that we don't go down to a pitiful number of viewers.
Yeah, I don't know if Naniwa or Scarlet can really stand up to this. I mean, they may just be the two best foreigners fighting for like $10,000 and, you know, whatever else. But that's nothing compared to the epicness of iNcontroL against Destiny.
I tend to agree, honestly. You can't really argue with it. This show match right now, and the viewer count is going to the moon, which is wonderful. So we'll see how this one turns out. Frost Ellie will be the final map. As you said, it seemed like Jeff was pretty uncomfortable on Yonsu, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. It's a ladder map. It's a pretty good map for Protoss. So unless he just personally maybe he had a couple of terrible games on it when it first came out, and he was just like, nope, I'm gonna veto this. Never gonna play it. He should be experienced on it. It's a generically good map for Protoss. It's pretty good for even for his style. He's completely comfortable with 2-base aggression. I don't know. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah, it is a little bit strange, but we are where we are. So a good performance from iNcontroL in the first map, and then Destiny is able to crush him on the second. Let's see what happens in the third and final map. Spawning up to the northwest position here, cross positions on one of the biggest maps in the pool, that being Frost LE. In the red trunks playing Protoss from Evil Geniuses, it's iNcontroL versus his opponent to the southeast position, a team of his own in the pink trunks, evening up the score 1-1 in this best-of-3 Bitcoin series. It's the one and only Destiny.
You know, I gotta say, cryptocurrency sounds way cooler than money.
Yeah, I tend to agree. If someone paid me in cryptocurrency, then I'd assume that I'm some kind of big-name hacker and that I'd be able to do really, really cool stuff with 6 monitors and lots of scrolling green text on the screen.
Yeah, at the very least, you're like a spy or something. I think it just basically makes you James Bond to be paid in Bitcoins.
Indeed. That must be it right there. I'm not really sure how many hotels accept Bitcoin, though. That could be a bit of a problem there. Early scout here from iNcontroL. So, looking towards the top right, doesn't really find anything as of yet. And the...
Ooh. Forge first and
first.
a double probe scout coming out. So he is saying, okay, Destiny's going to go hatch first on this map. It's gigantic. It's a 4-player map. No one would possibly expect a cannon rush. So he's going to go hatch first. But Destiny, I think that was a 13 pool again. So this is not going to pay off at all for iNcontroL unless he's going to go hardcore and go, like, just drop a pylon and make cannons anyway. And I don't know if that would really be the best decision, given that Destiny has made 4 lanes right away and been very careful about everything in both of the previous games. So I think this was a gamble iNcontroL took, and I don't think it's going to pay off at all here. He's just going to drop a Nexus and take his disadvantage.
Yeah, it seems like that's going to be the case. I can't see him placing anything, and he knows that. He's going to leave now. He realizes, oh, Destiny sniffed me out right there. He put down his spawning pool even on a massive map. Cannons are not going to work here. So let's start to expand, and let's also hope that iNcontroL manages to get the proper wall off this time around. Bearing in mind, of course, that Destiny doesn't actually know where his opponent is, but he will find out eventually. He's got overlords going in both directions, so I imagine those lings are going cross.
Yeah, his cannons will finish, or his cannon will finish in time, and that'll be enough to scare off the 4 lings if Destiny even bothers to send them. I don't know. That was kind of a questionable decision from iNcontroL because this is a pretty big risk. You drop that Forge first, and you send out 2 of your early probes. And against Destiny, Destiny's the kind of player, he actually plays very, very safe. He doesn't seem like a safe player, and a lot of people haven't seen him play too much, so they might not be aware of it. But he's the kind of person who goes pool first, like 15 pool every single ZVZ. And ZVP, I didn't know him as well, but he's gone 13 pool every single game. So it kind of seems like he just figures out a safe build in every matchup and does that over and over. So, I don't know, that was a lack of scouting or a lack of knowledge on his opponent from iNcontrol's part there.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. It seemed like he was just hoping to trick him. Maybe it was a mind game, and then that is something that ended up backfiring because Destiny knows the tendency of his opponent. It's like, you know what, I'm not going to take any risks against you.
We actually have a proxy pylon dropped already down at the bottom of the map, and a probe can be scouted immediately by Destiny. Destiny's scouting has really been on point thus far this series. He's always been prepared for pretty much everything. He did end up losing the first game, of course, but he didn't let anything tricky happen early on.
Yeah, this pylon's not going to be massively useful yet. I have to wonder if he intended to proxy anything with, say, a building, but iNcontroL's probe has been hunted out. Destiny may decide to then loop around and check if he placed anything down.
Yeah, that pylon is really, really out of the way. It's going to be kind of difficult to find with just a cursory scout. So I think that may survive, but it's also quite far away. That's not your optimal position to be warping in stuff to harass with. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like the decision to just drop down a pylon because I mean you need pylons. It's not likely to die right away. That's something a lot of some of the more difficult Protosses to play against, like Huck in particular, is really good about that. Just having pylons out on the map, having the opportunity to warp in. We're actually going to see an immediate Stargate from Control. So I'm not sure if he wasn't planning on it in the first place, or if he's going to use that pylon later on, but not going for any kind of immediate warp in harass.
Yeah, I do wonder if he intended to proxy the Stargate there, because it's not a bad spot to put it. As you said, it's hard to find. It gives you pretty immediate access to the third base if you're flying over there. But without the probe, obviously that wasn't going to be an option. But we'll see. Maybe it comes into play later. You said, and you're right, of course, that he has a tendency of using Dark Templar. That might be an initial early warp-in point for them.
That definitely could play into his strategy. Over on Destiny's side of the map, just a Roach Warren, bunch of extractors, all very normal. Actually, a little bit late. He got out a lot more drones than he has the previous games. This is a bigger map, and he knows he got away. Actually, I don't know. He never really scouted iNcontroL, so he may not know that he opened with that kind of bad Forge first. But one way or another, he knows this big map. He has a lot of map control, a lot of map vision. He knows he's safe, so he got a few extra drones out there. And iNcontroL, we're actually going to see an Oracle first again. I don't know. I don't like that. And it didn't accomplish anything at all the first game.
Well, it does go unscouted this time, though. It turns out that Destiny's Overlord did not get in there far enough. This one might. The Oracle's already... I think it just saw it, but it didn't see the Oracle. It did see a Stargate, and it saw the shape of a Void Ray. So, let's see. Yeah, 3 spores coming down immediately. He smells it.
And that's the problem with the Oracle, though. Just a single Spore Crawler, even 2 Queens that he already has at the third base is more than enough to drive it away. He loses maybe 1 or 2 drones max. I don't know. I just don't find the Oracle very effective. I think it's way better to start out with Phoenix or Void Ray.
Well, it doesn't do anything against Queens, that's for sure.
It's actually looking maybe... Ooh, 4 more gateways coming down and +1 weapon upgrade being chrono boosted out for iNcontroL and more Void Rays queued up. He might be looking for a Void Ray Warp Gate all in, but on this map, that's not a very good choice. It's so big. Okay, no, it does look like... Actually, the probe's queued up to go around. He may be going for a Void Ray Warp Gate all in. I don't know about that.
Well, this pylon down the bottom still remains unscouted, so it seems like he knows that's a safe place to put it. He would see... Well, actually, he wouldn't because of that bridge area. He'd be able to make his way across there. iNcontroL is now rolling out, and considering the size of the map, it's not a terrible time to do it. The +1 weapon upgrade still taking its time to get there.
Yeah, +1 won't be completed by the time he gets to his base, but if he just kind of buys a little bit of time, it'll be okay. More and more weapons coming down at that pylon. Also going to drop another one with the probe down there. But he's not looking to meet up with his 2 armies. He actually has another probe out on the upper portion of the map. So he's going to be attacking from 2 places at once. I don't know if he can really afford to split him up, but no speedling just yet. So that gives him a little bit of a window of opportunity here.
Yeah, he'll need to do it pretty much now if he wants to make that happen. The lack of speedling would hurt him greatly. But we will see. Will he decide to go? And he's going to push at the front with this tiny, tiny army. That could, you know, if he makes mistakes with the force fields, this could be shut down immediately. +1 Zealot is about to be done at the same time as Metabolic Boost. He's going to go straight in and actually, he's going to go for attacking the hatchery once again. Just something that we have seen him doing a lot. And he's now pushing forward with his smaller sentry army here as well. The Zealots are not going to kill this base. That's pretty much for sure. So I'm not really sure what iNcontroL's overall plan was here.
I don't know, he's a big fan of right-clicking on hatcheries, it seems, and it hasn't really been succeeding for him thus far. The first game, the macro game, looked pretty okay for him, and Zealot Harassment, at that point, is pretty expendable. It's okay for him to do that, but on 2-base all-ins, if you're not going to get the hatchery, you can't do that. That's so many minerals he just wasted, and his army is so small because of it. He's just going to get obliterated here.
Yeah, Destiny coming after the sentries, and the sentries at the front here as well are in roach range. That is nasty. Destiny getting in there really, really hard. And there's the recall, but not before losing so many units. But there was a Zealot warp in fact. It's almost like he used that as a distraction, but is this going to be worthwhile? The Zealots are going to finish off the hatchery, but he lost a lot for that hatchery. Do you feel that was a worthwhile trade?
Not at all. He lost maybe 7 sentries. And sentries, not only is that 700 gas, but that is all of the accumulated time they were going to build up mana and gain more and more force fields and guardian shields. He doesn't have that now. Even if he replaces all of those sentries, they're still going to have less mana than if he had just kept those alive. And then all of the other tech that he forewent. Oh, and we already have a Hive coming out from Destiny, so he's not making the same mistakes he did the first game, where he delayed and kept himself on lair tech and really crippled his army. Yeah. He's going to get that quick Hive, he's going to have those high-tech units out. And it is a big map. iNcontroL might be able to establish a third base and stay alive because the map is so large. So maybe he can drag it out because of that. But, I don't know. That was definitely not worthwhile. Not for a third hatchery and no drone kills on top of it. Yeah, it delays his mining, but you're not costing him too much else.
No, and what really concerns me right here is that Destiny's building up a large army and is thinking, all right, well, I lost a base, so maybe now it's time to knock on the front door, because I know how much damage I did to you. I know you're not on a third base because I have a Ling sitting there to make sure that you weren't. So what can you really do in this situation? Nice use of the revelation there by Oracle to make sure that he knows where those Hydras are, and he can get a little bit of idea. But Lings are starting to make their way across the map here. Map control is in firm favor of the Zerg player, and as you said, Hive's about to finish.
And we actually have a robo base started now, but the Hive is already completed, so he can start up Viper production whenever he wants, and Vipers against low number of Colossus are basically just broken. Like, the Colossus do absolutely nothing at all. They just get pulled out and die. With no Templar support, no nothing. He has a couple of Immortals coming out, but I don't know. I think a Roach Hydra Ling Viper timing at this point would just be pretty much unholdable on iNcontrol's part. He just doesn't have the enough stuff to kill anything.
Oracle trying to do a little bit of damage here and there. He's able to get a couple of kills, but nothing that's really going to change the tide of this game as of yet. Seems like he's got to take that third base and he's got to take a really good fight. And with that many Vipers in play, it seems like that's going to be incredibly difficult to do.
Yeah, at this point, I don't know, the biggest thing iNcontroL has going for him is he doesn't have the priority targets for the Vipers to actually pull, so they can't be as effective as they normally are. But at this point, just every single Void Ray is going to be pulled immediately over the Hydra, so that one Immortal can be pulled out. I don't know, in a couple of Blinding Clouds maybe. He doesn't even need the Vipers. He can kind of just attack move as long as he gets a decent surround. iNcontroL has so few units.
Zealot Caesar coming in, and iNcontroL is going to have to try and somehow hold this. I don't know if this third base is going to go up. Those force fields don't really help a huge amount, but they do ward away those units for now because Destiny's a little worried that he might get trapped. Muscular Augments on the way here for the Hydras, so maneuverability will be in play. We've got a Spire coming up here as well. Things are right now all coming up Destiny, but if he takes a really bad fight and allows iNcontroL to actually get his third base up, then that could change.
Yeah, I don't know, if he runs in, gets caught in force fields, and then dances his units the whole time, and iNcontroL somehow gets 3 more Colossus, then maybe. Because the problem with iNcontroL isn't just that he doesn't have many units, he doesn't have efficient units. Usually Protoss units are very efficient, and Templar, Colossus, force fields. He doesn't have that. He has Void Rays and Immortal, and he needs a lot of them to do any damage, and just, I don't think it's going to work out.
Here come the yoinks. 1, 2, 3, and the Colossus. All the value units getting picked off there. The Immortal is down there as well and trapped under its own force field. That is an absolute disaster here for the Protoss player. He's warping in as best he can, but there's a massive army supply. These Vipers were huge value. The Sentry's getting picked off. Destiny hammering this home.
Perfect abducts there. He got absolutely everything he needed to get. And, I don't know. Yeah, iNcontroL just didn't have the units to hold that off. Even without the Vipers, I think Destiny could have won. Vipers
GG.
Nail in the coffin.
There it is. Destiny is able to increase his Bitcoin fund by winning the show match here against iNcontroL. Very impressive. I mean, to be honest, Destiny played that out really, really well in the final map there.
Yeah, absolutely. He really kept his wits about him. He lost that hatchery. He didn't panic. He knew iNcontroL had traded way, way more than the hatchery was worth. He just got up to Hive really quickly, which is a smart choice against iNcontroL. iNcontroL, we saw in that previous game, he likes to sit, build up, head towards a Colossus Death Ball when all else fails. And Vipers, of course, are the hard counter to that style. And iNcontroL ended up not going for that anyway, but just the Vipers are a great way to finish off an opponent who's behind. Destiny really played it very smart.
Yes, he absolutely did. Well, we're going to get him on for a winner's interview here to hear what he thinks about his victory and also his rather large mountain of bitcoins as he sits atop them like Smorg the dragon. I'm going to try and get him on Skype, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say about that match.
I don't know. He was kind of muted in the pre-game interviews. There wasn't a whole lot of trash talking. He actually kind of sounded a little bit timid there. So hopefully the Destiny we all know and love is back for the trash talking afterwards.
I do kind of hope that that's the case. We will see.
Yo.
Jeff is coming on the call here, and we have your champion winning 2-1 in this Bitcoin show match, the one and only Stephen Bennell II. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right, well, that last map went pretty well for you.
Yeah?
Yes. Yes, it did. World's best interviewer, NA, what can I say? I suppose I should ask you, Jeff, what ended up happening with the final map there. It looked like you were attempting to go for an early cannon rush, but it seemed like Destiny had smelled it out and put down the earlier pool.
Yeah, he does that. He does that just about every game, but on a 4-player map, I'm pretty adamant about, like, against either early pool or hatch first, you want to have a forge, and then you might as well double scout. It's a small sack to the econ, but it's like a potential winner if you see that they are hatch firsting, and you also want to scout out if they're doing an early pool. Otherwise, you just do like blind Nexus first, and if they 6 pool, you just die. So I feel like you either roll the dice or you do that, which is like the safer answer.
Destiny, after the first map, it wasn't exactly a easy victory by any stretch for Jeff, but you did get worn down over the course of about 40 minutes in game. Did that concern you at all going into Yonsu?
Man, I play so many stupid 45-minute games on NA ladder. Not really. I'm kind of surprised that the last 2 games. I'm not really sure why you didn't just go for macro. We played 2 games yesterday, and Jeff won both of them, and they weren't like cheesy games by any stretch of the. Well, I mean, no, not really. I mean, they were both pretty easy. Not easy, but they were both macro wins for Jeff. And the first game today looked just like our last 2 games yesterday. So actually, after I lost this first one, I was kind of resigned to just losing because I thought he was gonna play the same way every time, and I have so much trouble against like the Colossus I don't play stuff. So I'm kind of, I don't know why you didn't just do that, what you did the first game, the next 2.
Yeah.
That really surprised me. I don't know.
I overthink things a lot, and like I was thinking, well, that's exactly what he would expect. It's been 4 games of the same thing, so. Then I tried, I'll try these other things, and then game 3 I was like, I'll do something that looks like I'm doing that thing that I've been doing, but then I'll do a timing attack, because I had a pylon behind your third, so I was like, I'm fairly certain I should be able to sneak this in, and I killed your early scouting overlords without you seeing the gateways themselves, but I'm not very good at timing attacks at all. I'm pretty terrible at them, so it's one of those things where, once again, in retrospect, I'm like, yeah, actually what Steven said makes a lot of sense, and what I did was really, really dumb, so... Kind of sad.
Excellent analysis. Stephen, I've got to ask, with your newfound Bitcoin fortune, what do you plan on spending it on?
My chat's gonna hate me, but we're probably gonna be day trading it for the next week or 2.
And where can they find your stream if they want to watch you doing that?
I'll be on Destiny.gg. If you go to Twitch.tv, look under the StarCraft section, and it looks like I have a whole bunch of boring graphs up under the picture. It's probably because we're playing with the Bitcoins.
Nice.
There you go. And do you have any final words? Thank you, sponsors, or anything along those lines?
I would like to thank Phoenix for their keyboard and for their mouse and their mouse pad. Hopefully, their keyboard's coming soon. Thanks to Dollar Shave Club. You can check them out at destiny.gg/shave. Thanks to Ting. You can check them out at destiny.gg/ting or destiny.ting.com. And real fast, I just want to give a quick anti-shout out to Saint Snorlax, who sucks massive dongers. All right, and that's it.
Seconded.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Jeff and Steven, thank you very, very much for taking part in the... Well,
What about Jeff shout-outs? Whoa, this is an
Jeff doesn't
EG,
get any
man.
shout-outs. He lost.
What
That's not...
the-
This is an
Okay,
EG,
all right.
man.
All right, he took one map. He gets half his shout-outs.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, that's good. That gives me at least 15 minutes, then I assume. By standard of EG shoutouts. Anyways, thank you to you guys for inviting me on. I'm gonna stay on, and I'm gonna watch the show match. Can't wait. But thank you. Like, I don't get to compete nearly as much these days, so making all those mistakes because I'm nervous and because I'm excited and I'm shaking that's a huge awesome moment for me. So just thank you for creating that, because those things don't happen on the ladder. We all sit in our boxers and play casually, and it's all fine and good, and we play, like, just totally casually. But to play for competition, to play for something in front of an audience, that's really cool, and you allowed me to do that yet again, so I really appreciate it. Shout out to everyone watching. We have over 30,000 people watching a frickin' show match. You're all doing awesome God's work and Reagan's work and America's work, so, Bible thump and whatnot. Thank you, appreciate it. And then, of course, big shout out to EG and all their lovely sponsors. And if you're all about me and you think I'm worth following or something like that, check me out on Twitter, EG iNcontroL. And I have a shirt on designed by humans, Ashes to Ashes. That's the best way to support me. So thank you, everybody, and have an awesome show match with Nano and Scarlet.
There you go, folks. Give it up, I suppose, in your room on your own and make people look at you rather weird. For Steven and Jeff, who just brought you that undercard show match here in the Bitcoin Starcraft Challenge. Thanks a lot, guys, and we will hopefully see you again at some point in 2014, perhaps for a rematch between these two wonderful players. Sounds like a great idea. So thanks a lot, Steven. Thanks a lot, Jeff. And we are going to take ourselves a short break. And when we come back, we're going to be bringing you the main event. It is going to happen, folks. It's going to look something like that. Scarlet versus Naniwa, best of 7 is what is going to be happening very, very soon here on twitch.tv/TotalBiscuit. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back soon. Don't go anywhere.